Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conservatish, episode 235. 235. I am prolific and very humble. My name is Peter Feliciano. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. Make sure you share this, rate it, review it, or you're racist. And you can find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano, on TikTok at the same handle, on Twitter at Rule62Peter. And you can support my podcast and my music at patreon.com/conservatish. Ladies and gentlemen and sirs, the wonderful Mario presents. Yay! Thank you so much for joining me, Mario.
Thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm excited to be here. My name is Mario Presents. I'm a conservative activist. I've been doing it since 2013. I have my own website, www.mariopresents.com, in case I get canceled on all of, I was just deleted off of TikTok at 60,000 followers.
Oh.
It happens. I'm part of the Gays Against Groomers coalition. I've been going to school board meetings, city council meetings, speaking to these people, telling them, hey, we need to fight for our freedoms. Hey, transing our kids is wrong. There's a whole bunch of things that are happening, and I'm here for it. I'm here as a warrior. And last night I was in Conejo Valley, and I just said, you know what? As long as I get one more person to do one more thing, I know that I've done what I'm supposed to be doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing the activism you're doing for, especially the we were talking about it last night, but Gays Against Groomers had a wonderful day yesterday. Good Lord. Kicked off of Venmo, PayPal, and Google all at the same time. Now, you talked about real quick before we get, I mean, this is obviously pretty loose. It's all over the place, whatever. But you said, I like that you say you're activated in 2013. What was your experience prior to, and what did it look like getting activated, and what does it mean for you?
So this is a good question, and everybody asked me this question, is what motivated me? What is it? Will Witt recently did a video where he resurfaced a video of Melissa Paris Harry from MSNBC doing a plug saying, we have to get over this idea, this notion that children belong to their parents. Children don't belong to their parents. They belong to the community. You just look up those words, Melissa Paris Harry, 2013, MSNBC, kids don't belong to their parents. And you're going to see the video for yourself. I saw that video in 2013, and I was 33 at the time. I mean, that reveals how old I am now. So be it. My alarms went out. And I'm a 33-year-old gay man who's been in a relationship for 10 years. I may have children. I may not have children. But the idea that parents and children need to be separated, that raised a really red flag in me. And I started making little videos. I started making commentary on the Michael Brown case because that happened soon after. And everybody talked. It was on everybody's lips. And so I just kind of started doing political commentary. And then in 2019, in the red wave, I was caught up and I said, I need to get out from behind the computer screen. I have to do more than just make videos. And I decided to get out onto the streets and just say, hey, look, I'm here. I'm a big, bright person. Ha, look at me. I don't fit the mold. Ha, ha, ha. And the left went, look away. And the cameras didn't want to give me an interview. Nobody wanted to give me a platform. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep making these videos, and I'm going to keep showing up to events. I was first in line for 2 different Trump rallies, local, actually, technically with my friends. I was all 3 Trump rallies that I went to locally in Arizona, New Mexico, and in Nevada. I was one of the first 10 people to get in, and the cameras, they looked at me, and then they didn't want to look at me, and then they would go looking for someone who spoke Spanish, and I'd be like, hola, ¿cómo estás? Hablo español. And they're like, we have to interview him because we have no one else.
Right.
And so then it developed into, feeling at a low point after the elections, and I was like, God, what am I going to do? I've been going out on the streets. I've been trying to get these interviews. No one wants to look at me. And I was at a true low point, and I found this group of people in my community. They called themselves the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. I said, okay, really, what freedom are they going to have? Well, it turns out when I met the group, I found a group of people who I'd already met in my travels before. These people were on the streets trying to reopen the state of California, going, hi, I can't have church, but for some reason, Nancy Pelosi can go get her hair done. I can't worship the way I want to, but the elote man can still come down the thing, go, and sell me his mocoso elotes to the public. Like, let's wake everybody up. I happen to have been an optician before and a groomer before, like a dog groomer, a pet stylist. That word now is a bad word,
I
but
know,
the pet
right?
stylist. And during the pandemic, when everything was shut down, I came to I put these things together and I said, wait, you've had these businesses closed for a month. If somebody broke their glasses, how are they going to get them fixed? If a child broke their glasses, how are they going to see the world? That's abuse.
Mm.
Okay. So my heart went there. And then I thought about it even further and I went, oh my God, I used to work with the most worst of the worst dogs. I was in a situation where people leave their dogs in the yard all year long. They come in once a year to shave them completely down. I'm
Jeez.
picking thorns out of skin and I'm crying because I'm in pain for these animals.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going, this is all shut down. These animals are suffering, and no one wants to even consider the fact that these who have no voice are literally suffering more than all of us. And
Right.
so that's why I went out there. I'm going, your dog can't get groomed, your child can't get glasses, but the elote man or the paleta man or the lady selling flowers on the corner or the champurrado out of the trunk of her car.
Or Gavin fucking Newsom.
Right. Right. Or these people going to restaurants and going, oh no, but you have to stay at home. But going back to this future, what happened was I met these people and this church was out there praying and they're like, oh, you're fighting the same fight we are. We'll join you. And so we joined forces and then we disappeared. And then we hit that low point. I find this Palmdale Freedom Coalition and guess what? It's the same people. And they welcome me into the fold and they go, Mario, we've been looking for you. And I found this group of people were activated. We passed a law in my community saying, no, you are not going to ask me for a vaccine passport, a vaccine mandate. You're not going to mandate testing for employees. We actually codified a municipal code and actual law and ordinance saying that any business that asks for that information is going to lose their business license. And this
Beautiful.
happened in Los Angeles County in California. And when the city was like, we're afraid of the county, we're afraid of the state. What are they going to do? They are bigger than us. We said, no, per the California Constitution, under the charters of cities, we have what's called home rule. We have municipality. When you are a municipality or a city, you can determine the direction of your community. The state can't turn around and say, this community can sell alcohol till noon, and this community can sell alcohol till 2 a.m., and that community can. It doesn't work that way. The individual communities make up those laws as long as they don't conflict with the California Constitution or the Constitution of the United States. We're free game. So we created a prophylactic ordinance saying, stop, you're not going to ask me for medical records. That's against the law. Have a great day.
Beautiful. Now, a question on that, because obviously you said you were tired of just doing your activism online, right?
Right.
Because in it's a normal human thing to think that's what other people do. So many times people who want to perform, as an example, a musician or have a podcast or whatever, have this idea, oh, that's Superman shit. You know what I mean? That's what other people do. I can't, you know. So what was the process just to make it real easy, real basic so that you can pass along the torch to other people who are thinking, maybe I could get a law passed in my community? What did that process look like for you?
The process looks like finding other people in your community, okay, who share your mission, who share your values, and who want to help you. Okay. They don't have to have the same skill set. We don't have the same skill set in the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. What we ended up doing is we said, okay, if I want to start this group, what am I going to need? Number one, consistency. You have to be consistent, just like with your podcast. You have to make sure that you're putting out an episode at least once a week, if not twice a week, or whatever schedule you maintain. Okay. I do the same thing with my own content. Is I have a schedule, a certain schedule. It flexes a little bit, but there's a schedule there. Okay. Maintaining a schedule is key. The second thing is find everyone's skill. Find something they love to do, their passion. Okay. If your passion is art, great. We can use that. If your passion is writing, fantastic. We can use that. If your passion is research, even better, because we can use that. Every skill set will then go into a specific group. Our sign team is all of our artists, we call them our ninja warriors, the people who like to get into mischief. Okay. What they do is they make foam board signs, okay, out of poster board. fight for your freedom. Check us out, Palmdale Freedom Coalition. 5 words or less, something really quick. And you make a bunch of these, like yard sale signs.
Mm-hmm.
And then that team goes out into the community, goes onto the light poles, opens up a ladder, climbs a ladder, puts them up, and disappears into the night. Okay. You're triggering the other side. And
Sure.
those who are receptive to your message are going, I want to find out more. You cannot imagine how many people we have recruited, and they go, I saw a sign on the side of the freeway. I saw a sign at this intersection, because we're dropping it in. It's very easy to get a mass-produced sign, like a political sign, but eventually you tune those out.
Right.
You won't tune out something that someone wrote. And then we bring in children, because the children also want to fight for their freedom. I don't want to wear the mask, the kid said. Write that down on a poster board for me, Mijo.
Right.
Absolutely. And guess what? We put that poster right in front of the school that was masking them. And those school officials lost their mind, because you have artwork that's made by children fighting for their own freedom, fighting for their own expression. And now these monstrous people have to cut it down. You're in their heart, you're in their brains. Okay. And we don't stop at going to the street lights or the fences at schools. We go to the cable boxes.
Right.
Okay. Because everybody has cable boxes or power boxes. You don't have to use an expensive foam board on that. You just use the regular floppy poster board. Cut them in half, do your art, and stick them on those. And as you're driving by, oh, what does that say? Oh, I like that. Oh, this group is good. I need to know who they are.
Right.
And that was our sign team. That was what they did. I am captain of information, because this is what I love. I'm an information hawk.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I did was I said, we need to make a newsletter. We need to make a communication between each other. And it was a one-piece, double-sided, all the information we needed. City council meetings, school board meetings, inspirational stories. We have a community member in our community, Diana Broussard. She is the first woman in California to win a case against the Department of Disability, or no, what is it? She was terminated after being injured by a vaccine. She took a meningitis vaccine. She worked in parole. She worked at the prison system. She took a meningitis vaccine at the strong recommendation of her job, and she was paralyzed from the waist down. So she ended up suing. What is it? Gosh, she sued the state, basically. Disability, yeah. She sued the Department of Disability, and she won.
Amazing.
So we put an article so that the rest of our community could know that this warrior, this winner, this person is in your community, and they are here for you. So you can tell other people about it. So it started out as a one-page thing. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Please.
It's evolved into a newspaper.
Oh, beautiful.
We make our own newspaper now.
That's very
because we need to get the information out. It's free. You want to, it's freely available. We give it to the community. People can't get enough of it. I write for the paper. I want to get information to the public any way I can. And I know the suppression is real. That's the other way we did. So we found the skill set that each person has, and we worked within that skill set, and we said, okay, now how are we going to do it? Where are we going to go? Once we have all pieces put together, and our weekly meetings, we would say, okay, today we're going to go to the city council. We're going to march on the council. Or next week, we're going to march on the council. And we're all going to have the same talking points. We're all going to have the same information. And then in between the meetings, we would say, hey, the city's getting ready to do this. Let's all send them an email. And you would get 50 emails from 50, 60, 100 different community members over the course of the next few weeks, all asking you the same thing. And the city has to respond. Eventually, it got to the point where the city just threw their hands up and they went, what do you guys want? What do you want? Beautiful. We went, we want you to put our ordinance on the table, because we've been fighting for 6 months, and for 6 months you've given us the runaround. Put it on the table, or we're going to continue stopping you from doing your regular work. You have a right to speak at every agenda item at every single meeting, whether it's a school board meeting, whether it's a council meeting. And what you do is you fill out a speaker card for every single one of those agenda items. And all of a sudden you bring the conversation back around to the thing that you want. Why are you spending $700 on a new street sign when passing my ordinance is free? Why are you doing this when da 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 da? You see how I've done that? And now I've got 3 minutes, and now I've got 30 people doing that. And it's 11 o'clock, and you still haven't gotten out of comments. You haven't been able to pass a damn thing. And they go, what do you want?
Yeah, right.
We want you to do the will of the people, because that's what you are here to do. You are to be instructed on what to do. If you don't know, you ask the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've done. We've created a voice.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. Number one, first things first, I also appreciate the fact that you're sharing good stories. Too often, especially in the right or conservatives, libertarian, whatever you want to call us, this big giant umbrella of we hate those lizards, we hear, oh, and then they did this, and then they did that, and then they did, you follow libs of TikTok or you follow Andy No, and I love those guys, but at the same time, it's just like bad story. So to hear like, oh, we got something passed. Here's this story, here's this win, here's this, it's beautiful stuff. And then the other thing is to one of my main fighting points is this idea of, regardless of whether the politician I like gets in there, even though I really want that to happen, blah, 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 the will of the people is paramount, right? The government officials, they have forgotten that they work for us, and we have forgotten that they work for us. We think, well, the ordinance says, the law says, Nancy Pelosi says, so there's nothing I can do. Fucking bullshit. We actually are the ones with the power. The whole structure is you're supposed to be serving us. It's not the other way around. You know what I mean?
They've forgotten the governance of the people. They've been so involved in the government of the people, they forgot the governance. And the governance is how you run your city, not just that you run your city. And they're so concerned in the fact that they run the city that they forget how they are compassionately running the city.
Right. Power corrupts. Now, as far as the experience with that's okay. So you got that done. What was the thing I was going to try to say? Oh,
but that leads me into the Gays Against Groomers. I mean, I've been active since 2013, just out there doing it, being myself and finding nothing but joy, love, and acceptance along the way. So when I met Jamie Michelle, or Mitchell, I don't know how sometimes she says it's Mitchell, sometimes it's Michelle. When I met Jamie, I was in Nashville at the Outspoken Pride last year. It's, Outspoken, they had their very own little event in Nashville, and she was like, oh, Mario, da-da-da-da-da. We talked a little bit, and that was pretty much it. We had a little bit of communication, but then when she started to launch Gays Against Groomers, she immediately added me to this chat, and I was like, what is this? And she's like, hey, I want you to be in part of this, da-da-da-da. I said, yeah, I can help you out as much as I possibly can. I can give you all the time that I have available to do this. But yes, I'm completely on board. And so we've been all reaching out, trying to find all the other GAGs, that's what we call each other. We call finding all the other GAGs, finding and then I'm applying what I've learned in the Palmdale Freedom Coalition. And I'm saying, all right, guys, who has this skill? Let's get this. We had a whole document. One of the GAGs from New York, he created an entire document about Title IX and how Title IX is actually very anti-gay and very anti sexuality, because by erasing sex and gender, you're erasing homosexuality, because homosexuals are by definition attracted to the same gender and the same sex. But if there is no sex and no gender, there is no homosexuality.
Right. You ever heard that? You know Scott Thompson from the Kids in the Hall?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Scott Thompson, love him to death. And I don't even know what his fucking politics are, but he had this wonderful episode on Your Mom's House podcast years ago. And he talked about that same thing. Is now they've made LGBT, it sounds so sterile. He's like, you need muff diving and cock sucking. You know what I mean? Like it has to apply. It has to apply.
I joke, but it's true. I'm like, gay men want an eggplant. They don't want a lima bean.
Exactly. And the idea that one of my favorite things. So I'm a half Puerto Rican, you know what I mean? Like I said, before when we were talking. And so one of the things that I like to do is to use identity politics to kill identity politics. Similar to what you were saying. I was watching that heartbreaking, oh my God, that video, Chloe.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. That's just holy shit. She detransitioned. She's 18 years old, but she started transitioning at 12, 13.
Yeah.
And she asked this question, and I know it was, you know, rhetorical, like, how did we get here? And I'm like, we got here because George Floyd. We got here because, honestly, a lot of it was well-meaning white liberals got told they were evil, they were bad, and now you need to shut up. Now you need to default to what you're being told Black people think, to what
It
you're
happens
being told.
it happened even
Latino.
sooner. Go back to Michael Brown and that case where that girl was on the stand and she's rolling her eyes at the lawyer, being like, we all heard her terrible English. And the only person that won was her because she got a college education out of it.
And the reality is like using, so I want to use white guilt to kill white guilt. You know what I mean? Because the only thing that keeps me in the door is the fact that I'm a Latino sometimes. The only people who have ever called me a fucking Nazi are fucking white boys. You know what I mean? And yet they're supposed to be this, we're standing up for gays. And now all of a sudden, what happened yesterday? I tweeted about it. In 2018, Democrats were like, oh, make those gays cake. And now it's like, make those gays broke and silent. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
These people, so using cognitive dissonance is waking people up. What are some other successes that you've had, both in Palmdale or Gays Against Groomers?
Oh, my goodness. Well, I use analogies. I'm very, very good at giving analogies. So with the Gays Against Groomers, I gave an analogy last night at the Conejo Valley School District. I said, and I can't take all the credit for it. If you watch Candace Owens, she did a great interview with the trans gentleman who was in the What is a Woman documentary and Perez Hilton. And at the very end, something very struck me. And I went, oh my God, they're absolutely right. Body dysmorphic issues should not be treated with affirmation therapy. Very simple, very clear. But the parallel is drawn when you talk about anorexia. Okay. Girl thinks she's fat. Guy thinks he's fat. So they do what they can to lose the weight and they research how to lose the weight. We are not going to tell that anorexic person, yeah, you are a fat ass. Are you watching all those calories? Oh, honey, let me show you this stick right here so you can actually clear out those systems because you see these love handles, you got to make sure you work on. We don't treat a body dysmorphic issue with affirmative therapy. But we are doing that when it comes to, oh, I feel like a man or I feel like a woman. Let's cut off parts. Let's start hormone therapy. Let's start making things, changing them, okay, physically, medically, and then deal with the consequences later. Because we don't do that for anorexia and we don't do it for overeating.
Right. Or even more accurately, let's make believe the consequences don't exist. You know what I mean? Everybody who's detransitioning is allowed now they're getting canceled, even though they're fucking like 2 minutes ago you said that they were supposed to be lauded and like lifted up.
You're valuable people. You're valuable to the machine until you are no longer valuable to the machine. I don't know if you saw my post today. I call it corporate communism. I posted about the Gays Against Groomers getting canceled and their Google. I was kicked off of TikTok. I call it corporate communism. And everyone's like, oh, communism's here. No. It's all done through the corporations. The corporations are ultimately the ones who own the politicians, who ultimately write the laws to protect the corporations. And the corporations also control the means of production, and the corporations also control the information coming out. So the corporations, if you do anything outside of the corporation's jurisdiction or whatever that it is that they like, they're going to cancel you. We saw what happened in Russia where Visa, MasterCard, they pulled right out of them. And that's that's a corporate choice. That's not a governmental choice. That's not done by that wasn't someone saying, hey, we're choosing to suspend transactions and telling the corporate. That was corporations voluntarily doing it. We see it with Laura Loomer. We saw it with Enrique Tarrio. We're seeing it with the Gays Against Groomers. And it happens for anybody who speaks out because they will turn around and, oh, sorry, somebody's calling me. We'll decline that. They'll do that. They'll do that to anybody who doesn't toe the line. And that's why a parallel economy is the most important thing that we can be working on right now. Dan Bongino has that whole setup. That's the reason why I made the newspaper. That's the reason why we go out into the streets instead of banking everything on these corporations and the system that they've already built. We're trying to build a whole new system. Yes, we have to still work here, but we can create this other system out here, outside of all of that, that's getting their attention and pulling them away from it.
Right. Yeah, it is. It is disheartening. I mean, the fact that I'm not famous is a fucking, it's a goddamn tragedy, because I work like a son of a bitch, and I've been doing this show for this year is 4 years. This month is 4 years. This month I came out with an album a few years ago. Like, I'm a hardworking motherfucker, right? But because I've been so heavily shadow banned, I also have been kicked off of TikTok 3 times. I've had my account suspended on Instagram. Like, it's just, my subscriber count on YouTube, as an example. Make sure you subscribe and share that. My subscriber count on YouTube is up, but my listenership because the adults who have voluntarily elected to follow me and see what content I make are not being told about the new content, right? Correct. So many times people have commented, a guy commented yesterday or the day before, like, oh, please keep updating us. I'm like, you're subscribed to me. You follow me on Instagram. What do you mean you're not seeing my surprise? Because I'm a Puerto Rican. Maybe that's it. Maybe because I'm a
and it's the shadow banning. I was telling you at the very beginning, I have a consistent yet inconsistent system. I will post either Tuesday, Thursday, or Wednesday. Sometimes I do Monday. Sometimes I do, and I keep it moving because I know that if I'm starting to be consistent, the algorithm starts figuring out what my schedule is, and it won't put it in the feed. Nice. I know that if you overpost, if you're just shit posting, it's not going to show up. But if I'm doing maybe 1, 2, 3, and that's it, 3 no more, I'm going to be seen every single day. Every single day, at least one of the 3 things will be seen throughout the day. Unless it's extremely controversial, in which case then it gets taken off of YouTube anyways. I've got 2 videos that got taken off. And the first thing I do is I run to Rumble and I put them on Rumble.
Right. Have you had a good
Because I need to make sure that and I rewatch it. Because what did I say? What did I say in that video that caused them to delete it?
Right. Have you had good success with Rumble?
It's okay. It's okay. But again, I only use YouTube and Rumble as a video hosting for my site, for my, I call them presents. So.
Right. And you obviously, I kept, I always, look at that fancy follow Mario Presents and at Peter_Feliciano. And also you have MarioPresents.com. So, okay. So you've had that experience. What was your, like, I even hate to say, because
say it.
One of the things I've talked about.
I'm open, but tell me.
No, for sure. But one of the things I've been talking about, I had Propaganda Fluent. Do you know Propaganda?
I've heard of her.
She's from LA as well.
I've heard
she's a badass. But I had her on, and we're just thinking about branding. You got to think about branding, right? And conservative is so, like, the word conservative is so, it's just passe. Like, it's just kind of blah. It's just kind of, because it encompasses so much more now, right? Like, as an example, I've been seeing a lot of people who I follow who would be, I guess, even call themselves conservative, who are celebrating. A lot of conservatives are celebrating the women burning their hijabs, right?
Oh, right.
So why, if that's conservative, like all these dumb motherfucking liberals are like, conservatives want to put women into the what is it?
But you need to wear a mask. They need to sit down.
No, but they're like, conservatives want to put women into the Handmaid's Tale. I'm like, bitch,
right.
we're celebrating them burning their hijabs. This is not your daddy's conservatism. What are you talking about? You're not paying attention, liberals.
And I've gotten into arguments with other conservatives who don't believe that I'm a conservative, because I call myself a conservative. I have conservative values. I believe in things like a nuclear family. Just because my nuclear family is a little bit different, I don't disagree that the best solution for a nuclear family is a male and a female figure in the home. But that's not everyone's formula to success. That's not every chemical on the periodic table isn't the same. I hate to break that to people. A nuclear family is based on a nucleus, and sometimes they're a little unstable. That's why we need to have other nuclear families to help balance us as a stable molecule. I wrote this when I was in college, and I just kind of like, it hit me, and I was like, because I was taking chemistry. I was taking organic chemistry, and I'm going, wait a second, you have a proton, a neutron, and an electron, and unless you have balance between all of these pieces, you're not going to be able to form another compound. You're not going to be able to, you're going to basically self-destruct. Look at hydrogen. It's a basic scientific principle. And I went, that's conservatism in a nutshell. And you don't have a successful model for the future if your model is, out here, out there, out here, out there. Covalent bonds versus ionic bonds. This is all
way outside my
chemistry. I know,
like,
right? Blowing people's minds. But you don't want to be out there bonding with all these other compounds.
Right. Well, here's
because that's going to affect your central compound. Like that just makes sense.
Right. What I think it is obviously there's always going to be people who are like, anti-gay or anti-whatever, or even, I wouldn't even call racists like far, far, far right. I'm sorry. That doesn't even seem right. Like, quote unquote, right. It's something else. It's something fucking dumb. Usually it's people who ain't fucking. But anyway, I think that there's a conflation that happens from the amateur everyday, people who are calling themselves conservatives who have a problem with gays, right? They conflate because they're being intellectually lazy. I'm not saying they're dumb, but they're being intellectually lazy in that they conflate gayness with gay activism that they're seeing online, with trans people, with trans activists that they're seeing online. They think, well, we just need to take all of that, put it all in a bundle and throw it in the river. No, bro, that's not how that works. You're being told as an example, that's why I always say white liberals are the fucking most racist people in the world, because they're only being fed what they think black people, they don't have no fucking black friends. They're being told what black people think and what black people feel and what the black experience is by a couple of motherfuckers they follow on Instagram, by Anthony Anderson, that douche, by Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I had a lady last night tell me, oh, the gay community is mostly liberal, right? And I said, yeah. And she goes, and the black community too. And I said, no, they're not.
Yeah.
I said, they're conservative. They just don't know it yet. Yes. And she's like, what? What do you mean? I said, they have been fooled into voting Democrat, but they have conservative values. And she goes, how do you figure? And I said, look into Prop 8. It was the black community overwhelmingly that voted in favor of traditional marriage. They said, no, we don't favor gay marriage. Sorry, their numbers don't lie. 70% of black women said no to gay marriage, and 60% of black men said no to gay marriage. These are facts. This is actual exit polls. And every other demographic, 50-50, 50-50, 50-50. And that was the one community that pushed it over the edge. And you know what the left turned around and said? Oh, they just didn't understand the question. They were too stupid. They're uneducated.
Exactly.
Honey, they know the assignment. They know the assignment.
That's what I'm about. The myopia and evil fucking discriminatory ideas around that shit, around those motherfuckers. Because the reality is, or not the reality, the idea is underneath the misinformation, we need to protect people from misinformation, is that if they're white, they're sharing misinformation because they're evil or stupid. If they're black, it's because they don't know no better. They're being led astray. Black people don't fucking have the ability to think for themselves. They
can't use the computer. They can't use the internet, right, Joe Biden?
They can't get ID. They can't. In fact, requiring them to get an ID is the new Jim Crow. Fuck Joe Biden in his mouth. God damn, I hate that motherfucker. Sorry, I'm filthy.
But it's true. I mean, and that's why culture jamming is working so freaking well. Alex Stein and what he's doing. I'm taking notes from him. We're getting ready to go to another city because there's Palmdale and there's Lancaster, like Burbank and Glendale. There's neighboring cities. They work together. They work in tandem. But Lancaster's been trying to reach its way into Palmdale, and we're going, whoa. We got to put a stop to that. But at the same time, we also need to replace Lancaster so that they don't keep trying to come into our city. Okay, we need to fight for freedom in that community as well, because that community has already fallen. RX Paris in Lancaster, if you guys want to research him, he's very, very in deep with China. He has a hospital here, it's Antelope Valley Hospital. He touted and was hoping that he would have a Chinese birthing tourism hospital out here. He has a huge contract with the CCTV cameras from China. And this guy's bad news for freedom in my community. So we're going to get ready to go for him. But we can't just go at it in the same way we have with Palmdale, because it's a completely different beast. We're going, okay, how do you get rid of somebody who has so much power, so much pull in a community that if you say anything bad, he'll threaten you with litigation, cease and desist. This man's a lawyer. Okay. So how do you do that? Well, this man obviously pretends to be a king. Well, can you imagine if a group of people who've been activated and who are willing to throw themselves on that pyre go in dressed up as a court, go in dressed up as him, maybe pontificate themselves? Oh my God, thank you so much, Lord. We appreciate all the things you've done for us. We can't manage our own finances, and we are thankful for you and your city council because you run every aspect of my life.
Right.
They'd hate
Trolling.
it. They go,
Trolling
haha,
is
it's funny,
beautiful.
haha, haha, stop. No, stop. No, stop. Meme them until they cry, and then meme them when they're of them crying.
Yay. And that's the thing that I remember I went to a dinner. I've talked about this on the show, but I went to a dinner a few months ago, and I'm a part of this spiritual group, and like we love each other, and we keep politics separate, right? But I'm sitting at this dinner with a bunch of white motherfuckers, surprise, who don't know me, and then for some reason one of them brings up politics, and I'm just sitting there quiet, like, can we not fucking, come on. Eventually I did say something, but like, through that conversation, they started talking about like why the right is better at memes. And I'm just sitting there just thinking like, shouldn't that be a sign to you kids? Shouldn't that be a sign? Wait a second. Why are we not good at memes? Is it because we're stuffy, douchebag, boring like, is it because we might be, shouldn't that be a sign you're doing something wrong intellectually, that something somewhere back there, there's a misfire? It's not connecting for them. It's not connecting for them. And you're talking about trolling, and you're talking about culture jamming. What does culture jamming look like to you?
Culture jamming is shoving their own culture into their face to the point where they no longer want to digest it. I did a culture jam at the school board here in Lancaster when they were trying to require all the teachers to continue testing for COVID. Okay, right. So I said, why stop there? These teachers are property of the district. You need to immediately request all their medical records. If a teacher has cancer and has to be out of school, you need to mark that in their file. Bulimia, anorexia, this is a danger to our community. And it puts our children, this instability puts our children in danger. These children's minds belong to the district, and we need to make sure that we own the property that's educating these minds. Everybody should be tested at all times when they come in and they walk in. The board looked at me like, no. I'm like, I need to know if you've had a hysterectomy. I need to know if you've gone through menopause. I need to know if you've had an abortion, because that's important, because you are property, right? Right, district? You have this authority over people, or you need to have it. Right. And surprise, surprise, all the parents that spoke that week, because the superintendent was new, all the parents that spoke that week got a phone call from the superintendent saying, oh, I'd love to set up a private meeting to discuss what you talk. I was the only one who didn't get a phone call.
So much fun. And it's so much fun, not only because it's a way for us to make change, it's also fun because it does expel something. Have you felt this? When I make fun of them, when I meme them, when I joke around, when I yell, when I do my show, when I make a song about them, whatever, it's cleansing. It's cleansing. Yeah. And also it's not just cleansing, but one of the main factors is that it's cleansing for others. Right. Yeah. When you were talking about, finding that other group, when you realize you're not the only one, you're like, oh my God, holy shit. It's an oasis. It's a refreshing experience. I think, and which is, by the way, why I think the left and the lizards, whatever you want to call them, they did a wonderful job. Think of how smart this pandemic was, right? Not even if it's not a conspiracy theory, whatever, you just isolate people and control so that the only information they're getting is from their TVs and from their computers. And then you control and isolate them there too. Make believe, oh, look, it's if you disagree with Joe Biden, you're not even black.
Why do you think it's called programming?
Exactly. And they did all that stuff. And so honestly, I really think, I was talking with someone the other day, and I'm going to have the New York Freedom Rally on my show, I think next week.
They're great people. I love them.
Yeah, I went when I was living in New York. I'm in Austin now, but I was living in New York up until a couple months ago, and I got to go to some rallies and get connected with those guys, sweethearts. And we were talking about like just the fact that we lost people, man. We lost people, and not just to suicide, and not just to overdoses, but we lost people's souls. People's minds got fucking snapped, man. When you isolate them and you tell them they're wrong, and you isolate them and you take away this and you take away their money, you take away that to make them dependent on the state, it crushes souls. It crushes souls. And so it's doing culture jamming, doing the memes, doing the stuff that we do is not just freeing for us, it's freeing for others, because we really are. I know this is gonna sound self-important. I don't give a fuck. Everybody cover your ears. We are doing the emperor has no clothes shit. Right? We are the like, ha ha ha. And then now people are going to see that the guy who's connected to China, and people are going to be like, ooh, he's kind of cringe. Like, ooh, he's kind of cringe. Like, he's smelly. You know what I mean? He do-do.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you make them look do-do like they do their pants, it's one of the best ways to win culturally.
That's exactly what we're doing. And that's why I wear the heels. That's why I carry the flag, because when you're driving by, you're like, oh, those fucking racists. What the fuck is that? Welcome to Mario Presents, and why I created it.
That's awesome. Yeah. You know Mike Harlow?
Yes, I love Mikey Harlow. He's great.
Yeah, I love Mikey. We're good friends. He owes me a call, by the way. But anyway, yeah, we've being our flamboyant self, being ourself, and whatever that looks like. You were talking about it earlier. Each of our different, right? One of the things I always go back to was an old Patrice O'Neill, God bless him, rest in peace. Analogy is the Super Friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't ask. I came up with this line, so yay, I'm very smart. But you wouldn't ask Superman to talk to fishes, and you wouldn't ask Aquaman to scale tall buildings in a single bound. If we are secure in ourselves and we grow, heal ourselves, and we do our internal self-care shit, right? Then we can realize, okay, why did the universe, God, whatever it is, Yahweh, put this desire in my heart to make signs, to make stickers, to sing songs, to talk on a podcast, to get really into research? Maybe it was because this gift can be used, right? Too often we get lost in the weeds, and we just feel it's easy to feel overwhelmed instead of just taking small actions, little actions. One of the things that I think New York has done really good is stickers. I made some stickers. You were talking about, your signs. And I used to live on the Upper West Side, the whitest area in the world. And I would use these little, I like to use cognitive distancing. What?
White rose stickers?
Yeah, some of those too, but I made some of my own. And it wasn't very expensive to make your own little sticker. And one of the ones I made was, what was it? Everybody cover your. This is going to be very offensive. Not very offensive, but it's up there. Only dumb white cunts are pro-vax pass.
Right.
Because I'm trying to tell the white people who are going to read this, because it's the Upper West Side. Hello. I'm going to try to tell them, like, hey, remember how you said white people need to shut up just to listen to black people? You're now firing all of the black people. You're now segregating. Literally, still to this, I think to this day, as Chuck Farday checked out in February of this year, only 40.5% of black Americans were fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
And yet to be against the vaccine mandate was racist. What the fuck are you talking about? And so I made these little signs, and then I love that it was hastily scratched off by some fucking Karen. You're not supposed to, that's what you fucking get. Take it.
Okay. So here's a fun thing. Now you're going to get pure joy out of this. So remember I was telling you we do the floppies on the cable boxes?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we call them. We call the firm ones and the floppy ones. The firm ones go up on the poles. The floppy ones go down on the cable boxes because low hanging fruit.
Right.
So I goad them because I know they're going to be triggered into pulling down a poster on the cable box. Right. So I put white rose stickers underneath the poster. Beautiful. So you're so triggered that you have to pull my poster off of a cable box. I'm going to have the last laugh because once you remove that, you're going to see a whole bunch of stickers underneath it hidden that have a message that you hate as well. So now I've wasted even more of your time because those 30 seconds that you wasted pulling down now you're triggered, and now you're going to be that Karen. cutting out all 10 stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, I've already won. I had an emotional reaction. I pissed you off. And I'm going to go back there and I'm going to do it again next week.
Right. So much fun. Speaking of so much fun, what stuff, you okay to go a few more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. What fun stuff, because I know that, actually, before I forget, what happened in Sacramento? You went up there to go speak. What?
Yes.
It was SB. Yeah, please
1797. SB 1797 was a bill that was moving through the California system that was going to create a vaccine registry of all people who've been vaccinated in California. And it was going to share that with the WIC, or the food stamp system, the CalWORK system, which is the insurance system, as well as all of the other systems that are set up through the state, foster care system as well. I spoke out against that, and I was like, no, we're not going to do that. I was invited by
Wiener
Denise.
One?
Huh?
Was that Scott Wiener one? The guy in San Francisco? He put that
through? I don't know if it was his bill.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's part of on the bill. But that was SB 866, which ultimately failed, but SB 107 did pass. And that's this transgender. We're not going to extradite people if, say, your mom in Texas decides to steal you and bring you to California so you can get that gender affirming trans care. The doctors and the police are not allowed to work with authorities in Texas to get you back there.
Jeez.
For kidnapping or anything.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the SB 107.
Even if it's a child?
That was for a child.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, but I spoke on a different issue, but I did do lobbying against SB 866, which was that parental rights in between for medication. And I went out there and I spoke to them and I said, let me ask you something. If your child went to school and then came back and says, Mom, I want to be baptized, would you be okay with that? And they kind of looked at me and they went, what do you mean? That's not the same thing. I said, what do you mean? It totally is. It's just a little bit of water on their forehead, right? You know, if you're atheist, you should have no problem with it, right? And they go, but no, that's wrong. I said, but then why are you letting children make their medical choices? Right. They can't even choose their own religion. Right. But if you're allowing them to make their medical decisions and get injected with hormones, then you should have absolutely no problem with your atheist child deciding to become Catholic. Right. And when those words left my mouth, those representatives, those field reps, their eyes got huge and they went, we will tell the senator that. We appreciate that, because they knew. Right. And that's what I was doing in Sacramento, is just learning about lobbying, speaking at Sacramento. And of course, I made sure I stopped in Scott Wiener's office and told him, you better take this bill off the thing. I'm telling you right now as a constituent, I am to instruct you and I'm giving you this instruction. Remove this bill. Obviously he didn't, but hey, it made me feel better.
Right. It was cleansing, and you were speaking your mind. You were speaking your mind.
Yes, I've taken people to their first rallies ever before. I mean, that's part of what I do because I've done it for so long and so often. With the Freedom Coalition, I have people, I say, hey, I'm going to go down to LA for this rally. Anybody want to come? And there's usually a group that's like, yeah, we'll go. That's kind of what they like to do. Hey, let's go. And then you have the people like, I've never been. I would, I'd like to go. Come on, join us. And the first thing they say once we leave the rally, they go, that was a lot of fun. I feel just so refreshed. Like I was able to just say the shit. You're a baby killer. F you, dude. And I feel better. And I go, good. That's what these rallies are for, because sometimes you just need to get that out. And whether it's getting it out on a piece of paper in your writings, whether it's getting it out on a poster board in an art, whether it's going to a rally and shouting at the opposition, that's what we're here for, because you're doing one more thing.
Right. What rally did you first go to? What was your experience at your first one? Do you remember?
My very first rally was Newport Beach. I had already had the Mario Presents moniker, but I didn't do the heels. I just kind of was like, okay, this is my first rally. Me and my husband are going to go. I had yellow box braids in my hair, and I had a LGBT for Trump pin, just rainbow, LGBT. And immediately I got interviewed by a couple people. They're like, oh, I see your pin. Da, 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 da. I met a bunch of people. They're like, oh, you're so cool. Da, da. It's so nice to see you. Da, da. I didn't have anything like other than that. And from there, I was invited to another rally at the Wilshire Federal Building. That's where I really blossomed, I say. I wore I'd done my hair, redone my hair into box braids. I did half red, half blue, because, you got to have a duality. I wore a shirt from the artist Sabo, Unsavory Agents, if you've ever heard of him. It says Mohammed is a homo. I had my signature rainbow Gadsden flag, and I had a pair of white pumps. And I said, "Hi, I'm here." And they went, "We love you." Right. And from that point forward, I just did the evolution. Sometimes I have, braids can get expensive to do and time consuming. So sometimes I have braids. Know. Sometimes, see, no hair. Makes life easy.
Right.
Sometimes I do braids. Most often when I'm out on the streets, I'm wearing heels because I need people to see that this person is different. And most people don't even realize it. They're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, he's walking through the crowd." And then an hour later, they go, "I didn't even realize you were wearing heels. Oh my God, how do you walk in them?" And I go, "Well, our soldiers suffer for our country. This is the least that I could do."
Oh, I love that shit. Yeah. Okay, now let's start wrapping up. But I wanted to again establish, because too often, again, the conflation happens, and I always have. I mean, that's part of the reason why I started CONSERVATISH, right? It's not just that. I have somebody who knows me and they're trying to get to know me now, and it's just like, but why does he vote for blah blah blah? And I'm like, can't I like gays and guns? Like, why does it have to be 100%? And
I support married couples who want to defend their marijuana farms with AR-15s?
Right.
Like, absolutely.
Just because I want gay married couples doesn't mean I want fucking babies to get their dicks chopped off. I'm sorry. Right. Those are not right. I don't have to fucking pick those many sides.
Well, and here's a good one for your CONSERVATISH. I may agree that marriage is between a man and a woman. Okay, I say that out loud. A marriage is between a man and a woman. I am a confirmed Catholic. I will not deviate from that. However, I do understand that there are legal ramifications with marriage and the verb. The California Supreme Court, when they were hearing the Proposition 8 case, okay, the two sides tried to come to an agreement. And the governor actually agreed with their compromise. And the compromise is that the government would not violate a couple's right to marry if the legislature chose a word other than marriage as the official designation for all couples in the state. That makes sense. So everybody gets a civil union, or everyone gets a mergers and acquisitions license, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Just don't call it marriage. And you just say, okay, from this point forward, we're going to say all the marriages are now civil unions. And from this point forward, we're going to only issue civil unions, leaving marriage to the church. That was the greatest compromise ever. And you know who chose not to go with that and went ahead and continued the litigation was Ken Starr. Remember that name? Yeah.
That's weird. What?
Yeah. So Ken Starr said, no, we're going to continue arguing this marriage case, even though the two sides had kind of come to this like, hey, we could have something really feasible. And they said, no, we need to make sure we define marriage. And we ended up with the Prop 8 going to court and blah, 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 blah. But there's your CONSERVATISH right there.
And it's such a pain in the ass when sometimes, like, I've talked about it, just whatever, but like, remember when Brandy Love got kicked out of Turning Point USA? What was it, last year or something, right? I'm like, listen, we have bigger fish to fry than if some broad decides to eat ass on camera. Like, she's an adult, bro. She's an adult, and God bless her. I appreciate her movies. So like, I saw a few dum-dums on Twitter, like, who I follow, are like, it's time to get rid of porn. Like, this is some fun. What was the one even last week? Someone's trying to put through an abortion ban nationwide. Right. That's some fucking false flag shit. That is some false flag shit. That motherfucker is a rhino piece of shit who's trying to make Democrat votes look like they make sense. Okay, we already have Roe v. Wade dead. Of whether you agree or you don't. No, I don't know any conservatives. I know a couple, maybe, like, anti-abortion activists who are like, really, let's shut it all down. But everybody's kind of calmed down on that level because, okay, well, we live in Texas or we live in California, we're mostly happy-ish with our rules. Only the left right now is not happy with the by state decisions. So ultimately, we're not calling for this. We have bigger fish to fry. We have bigger fish to fry than let's get rid of pornography or even talk about it. Is it healthy? No, maybe not. Whatever. Is cocaine healthy? Is pot healthy? Is cigarettes healthy? Is alcohol? Like, okay, like we have bigger fish to fry than like, you need to stop because it says in the book of blah, blah, blah. Shut the fuck up. It also says, you know what, by the way, Christians, if you really want to push, I can get back to 2006 if you want to. It says in the book of Corinthians that women shouldn't talk in church. That's what it fucking says. Okay. So if you really want to get down to it, if you're allowing women to talk in church, you're against the fucking Bible too. All right.
Right.
So,
right. And I don't even know the passage, but there's even passages that say singing and dancing is against God.
Really?
There are sects of Christianity that see that. And if you really want to be a purist, some of these conservative musicians, I'm not going to name names, who have issues with the gay community and talk shit about them because we know they exist. If you're really that Christian, why are you singing and dancing and rapping?
Touche. And ultimately, again, but we're not going out there to try to make those decisions for somebody else. The main point of this new movement, of this conservative freedom love, whatever the fuck, is leave me alone. That's all it is. Just leave me the fuck. As long as I'm not hurting other people, leave me alone. And the main driving point behind the opposite of that is that the government likes power. Correct. Abusers, bullies, never give power back.
No.
Okay. They're never like, as Patrice O'Neill used to say, a bully doesn't get your money today and then come back tomorrow. Hey, thanks for the money yesterday. No, he's like, give me more money. Right.
So, until you punch him in the nose, then he's never going to come back.
There it is. So, we've got bigger fish to fry, boys and girls. And I appreciate you coming on so we could talk about the state of the world, the state of the well, let's real quick wrap up. Do you know what, if you're allowed to talk about it, what might be going on with Gays Against Groomers at the moment, how they're going to be fighting back?
Well, we're setting up our infrastructure to create chapters across the state, across the country, actually, and across the world. We actually have a chapter starting in the Netherlands. We have a chapter starting in Australia. We have a chapter starting in Canada. So we're working diligently to reinforce our infrastructure, create chapter leaders. So if you're actually interested in becoming a chapter leader for the Gays Against Groomers, reach out through our website, www.gaysagainstgroomers.com. So we're looking to basically create the setup that other Gays Against Groomers can show up at council meetings, can have the voice. We are trying to create a database for them to have, for these chapter leaders and these chapters to have the talking points and be informed. Okay. Because just being on our side is great, but knowing the same stuff that we know so that you can articulate that to your community is even better. And that's what we're working on. You can support the Gays Against Groomers by buying merch right now, because you can't donate to PayPal or Venmo, but you can always buy merch. You put in Mario Presents as a promo code, you can get 10% off your order. So that's really what we're working on.
Amazing. Fantastic. Again, please plug yourself, Mario.
Oh, thank you. So my name is Mario Presents. You can find me on all platforms except for TikTok, because I just got kicked off. But find me at www.mariopresents. I present topics every week, different points of view. I love presenting analogies, and I love presenting a different perspective. And some people say presents, some people say presence, but even if you say presence, I'm still a gift for you.
Nicely done. All right, everybody, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you find me on Instagram at Peter_Feliciano. Support my podcast and my music at patreon.com/conservatish. I will be coming out with new music soon, probably October, middle of October. I'll keep you guys posted. And I will go ahead and end the recording.